Well, hello loves and happy Sunday. All right, I want to quickly go over all of the goodies and things and layers that I did before we dive in, and then we'll talk more about it at the end of the video. So I used, I think it was 3 different collage packs. Of course, this is kind of the bits of it, but they're amazing. Like, they're just some really great, this is school books, this is birds and bees. One was a flower one. This was a moon elements one. So there was several different ones that I used. And then I did a lot of decollage, which is kind of these bits, and then I pulled them off and it kind of left a shadow, and then I put them back on. But look at, these are just so good. So I used a lot of collage packs. All of those collage packs will be on sale this week. And then I used 4 different stencils. I used the faces side view. I used the retro pattern in the 8x10 and the 6x6, and this is retro pattern 3. I'm not exactly sure. And then this is also one of the new ones that is in the shop, and that will also be on sale. Or no, these ones will not be on sale. This one will be on sale because these are the new ones. So, okay. So those are the stencils that I used. But look at this beauty. Oh, the layers on this is just fantastic. I positively love it. So, I did a lot of layering on this. There's a lot of layers, but I wanted to do that on purpose because I wanted it to be super messy and grungy, and then have her just be black and white to really stand out, and then to bring that black and then that gold. Oh, I did the gold in the background too, and then I just love it. So I put all the papers down, and then I did a few layers of papers and kind of decollaged and put them down and pulled some up, and you'll see the dance as I do it. And then I put some additional papers on top of the layers to kind of, again, add more texture and more goodness, more grungy goodness. They show up in all the right places. And so I know a lot of you often wonder why I put the papers down if they don't show, but they do show, and they show in just the, like, this is the stem of the flower in her face. There's these little numbers and bits that all show up, little tiny words that show up. Everything happens for a reason. And then it also, that layer, that first layer of paper helps you kind of get moving, get you into that kind of creative flow. So lots and lots of papers and layers. I used 2 colors, yellow oxide or yellow ochre and the fluorescent magenta, and I just put them down and brayered over them, and I wanted them to mix naturally. I wanted this to really be kind of free and kind of unexpected. So I did that color, and then I came back over it with palette knife and gesso, and I used a lot of gesso to kind of push things back a bit. And then I added my stenciling with my my first layer of stenciling was with this stencil here. This is a retro pattern, and I did black and gold. And I used my spray paint at first, which was perfect for the background. But then I switched to the liquid metal for her hair because I wanted to be able to really control where I was putting it, and I really wanted it to stand out. So that liquid metal, this is just the best liquid gold paint I have used. I used my Stabilo all pencil for her shape. I stenciled my face. I stenciled my face on tissue paper, and the reason I did that is because there was a lot of texture on here, and if I had tried to stencil over that texture, I wouldn't have gotten a very clean line. And I also wanted the line to be subtle so that I could go over it with my Stabilo all pencil and really make it feel like mine, like it was stenciled. And I love using my stencils this way because I don't have to think about anything. I didn't have to spend time drawing it out, putting the lines in, the faces and all that. I didn't have to do any of that. I just put it on that tissue paper and then put the tissue paper down and then came back over it with my Stabilo all pencil and made it my own. I used a lot of gesso in her face. That's the only color that I used in her face was the gesso and my Stabilo all pencil. I used a lot of gesso out here to kind of really separate her face from the background, and then use that other retro pattern stencil for her hair. And the only other color that I added was a little bit of this deep violet for kind of in her hair and her drips. And then I used carbon black acrylic ink in this area as well as, and to do my writing. Did my writing with my my new bamboo pens that I'm learning to love them. For shading, additional shading, I used a Stabilo Woody to kind of get some real whites, my soft pastel in blacks and white, and I also used a brown, it's in my hand, brown to add just a little bit more depth in maybe around here. But that's really it. And then I shaded around the edge. I don't think that there's anything else to it. I used Liquitex Fluid Matte Medium to put all of my papers down. My paints, I did that's it. There's not a lot of supplies that I used on this. Oh, I used my brayer too to put those two colors together, the pink and the magenta and the yellow ochre. Not a lot of supplies, very simple, and yet the layering process, just continuing to layer, that makes it so deep and so rich. I just positively love it. Love it. All right, so that is the supplies that I used for this piece, and we'll start creating. So sit back and relax and let's go. Well, hello loves and happy Sunday to you. Look at this beauty. I am just so in love with her. Oh my gosh, I love how this turned out. I love that stencil as her hair. Oh my gosh, it could not be more perfect. Oh, I just love it. I went over everything at the beginning of the video. Again, the supplies will be listed down below. There'll be a link down below that you can go to the blog, get all the details, get all the links, all that kind of stuff. That'll be down below in the YouTube description box. Let's just dive into the meaning of this piece. So I made this, so last week I talked about rest and feeling worthy of rest. And I made this piece for you because I got a lot of emails saying, yes, I'm totally with you on the rest. I need rest. I go, and I don't feel worthy of rest. And then on the other side of that, I got emails saying, I don't have a problem with rest. I have a problem with purpose or drive or finding my passion, those kinds of things. So I really thought about that. And I'm so grateful for your emails and for you sharing your stories with me. It means so much. But as I started to think about that, I wanted to kind of just share from my heart, you know, some of my journey as far as not feeling like I had direction, why, and then finding my purpose and some clarity and some drive and some passion and all those kinds of things. So let's talk about this piece in relationship to the journey within. So that's what it says down here. It says the journey within. And there were a lot of layers on this piece. And there are a lot of layers to ourselves, to our life, to our journey. It's not just one single line. There's crisscrossing paths and different things and different seasons. And all of that kind of plays into our worthiness of rest and our worthiness of being passionate about something, about being driven, about being focused, and feeling worthy enough to have that purpose that you, just as you are, have this incredible gift that only you can give, and recognizing that and finding that. And so that's what all these layers represented, is that kind of overlapping story of our lives, and how sometimes the seasons don't show us our purpose. And sometimes the seasons are just that. They're just a season of the things that we have to get done. So for me, in my life, there was a season where all I did was take care of kids. That was my purpose. And there was very little time or room for me to find an extra dream space, an extra place of purpose, because it was all hands on deck raising kids. And then that season ended and they got a little bit older, so I had a little bit more time to myself. And I began to kind of create and dream and think about what I would like to do at some point when the time is right. And I would steal away in moments and create these little bits of collage. I would just grab bits of magazines and things, and I would just create these bits of collage pieces that back then, it wasn't called mixed media. Maybe it was more like card making back then. But I had this little tiny corner in my bedroom that I just would sit at my table, and my table was tiny. And I would steal away for a few moments, and then I'd go back to the real world and go to work and take care of the kids and all those kinds of things. So those layers of our lives are part of this piece. And that kind of decollaging, that pulling back some of those layers, a lot of times that's what we have to do to find our purpose. When I think about doing what I'm doing now, I attribute it, so I went to design school back in the day, way back in the day. And back then, now everything's computerized, but back then, as I was presenting a design project to a client, I would make these boards. And it had the carpet and the lamps and all the things on it. And that was my favorite thing to do, was putting all the pieces together and putting them on this board and creating this beautiful collage thing so that I could present it to the client. And as I was peeling back the layers of life, when I was really trying to focus on, okay, now Shawn, what do you want to do? I started going back through some of those layers. And that came to me of what, because I kept asking myself, what is the thing that I love to do the most? And I want to say this, that's a question that I ask myself a lot. And sometimes the answer doesn't come right away because we just don't know, or we're just so immersed in the season that we're at that you can't find that answer. So even if you ask yourself right now, what's my purpose? What's my goal? What's the thing that I'm supposed to do? And you don't have an answer, don't give up on that. So, all that decollaging, those layers, pulling back those layers, and finding that beauty in there, that's part of this journey. All of this has a part in the story of today's inspiration. And then this gold is kind of like that crown, that shining crown of when you do find your purpose. I just love this. And then all of this, all of the parts of finding your purpose, finding your goals, your dreams, your mission, whatever you want to call it, it is a journey within. It's a time of you having to look within and find out, why don't I know? What is it? And everybody's purpose, dream, vision, goal is different. Some are small and some are grand, and that's okay. But probably, 15 years ago, maybe more, I was in a season of my life where I felt like I was spinning out of control. And if you go, I don't recommend that you go back to the very beginning of when I started doing my videos, because they're terrible. But I often talk about the dark days. And I was depressed, and I was spinning out of control. I was making bad choices. It was just a very, very difficult time of my life. I had gone through a divorce. My kids were fairly grown up, so they didn't need me. And I felt like I was just, I was in a boat out on the ocean, just kind of drifting. I had stopped creating. I just wasn't me at all, and everything felt dark. And if you look at some of my art way back, it's very dark. Dark colors, and yeah, it was a very difficult time. And that was a season of my life. And I chose not to stay there. And part of that took a lot of work, a lot of therapy, a lot of journey within to find out why I felt like I had nothing to give. And then I went to work with my therapist, and I did the work to find my worth, to find some things that I had forgotten about, to find that place where I knew that I had something to offer. And you know, I have a very small audience of people here on YouTube. I'm not like this big thing, but the people that I serve, the few, that's all that matters. And that is my purpose. And creating is my purpose because I truly believe that it will inspire others to live an authentic, creative life. And so I want to encourage you today that if you're in that season, it's just a season, and that you need to take a journey within to find out why maybe you don't feel like you have a purpose, or you don't know what your purpose is, or you're not worthy of showing your fantasticness. Your gift, whatever it is, can be a gift to someone else. And we need that. I need that. And so there are a couple of things that I do when I forget where I'm going, or when I forget what I feel like my purpose is. And I will say this too, that it can change. It can shift. So my purpose way back was to be mama. And then it was to be breadwinner. And then it was to whatever. Shift and shift and shift. And that's the seasons of our life. And so I know often in an age like 40s to 50s to 60s, somewhere in there, there's this shift where we are no longer responsible for anybody. I know this happened for me. I'm no longer responsible for anybody. Now what? Now what do I do? And it's still, even at this old age, it's still possible to find your purpose, to find your gift, to find that thing that lights you up and serves others and serves yourself. But what I do is, one, I found a really great therapist. And if you can't afford that, find somebody that you trust to talk to. Because if you ask them what your gifts are, they will be able to tell you like that. And then the other thing that I do is I write it out. I write. I've talked about this many times. I found a book about 15 years ago called Write It Down, Make It Happen. And it changed my life. And I got it's an old book, very old. but I got very specific about the things that I needed at the moment. I didn't even think about the dream or the purpose. I just kept saying in my journals, I need to stop spiraling down. I need the dark days to stop. I need to pull myself together for me and my kids. And so I would write it out every day. I'd let it all out, and then I would write out what I needed. And day after day after day, along with my therapist, and along with some prayer or meditation, because I know everybody's got different beliefs or faiths. For me, prayer, that prayer or that meditation is that journey within. It's that quiet space. And when I'm in that space, I can write it out, and I can get quiet, and I can shut out the voices that keep telling me I'm not worth anything. So I had a therapist. I journaled it out. I got quiet. And the other thing that will help you in this season, if you can, move your body. So walk up the stairs, up and down, if you can. If you are not able to do that, maybe you can do, something within your arms. Maybe you can dance. Move your body. It physically changes your thinking. This isn't about losing weight or any of that. This is about doing something physically different for yourself. So move your body or do something different. Take a different way home. I am a very, very predictable person. And so if I do something different, it's amazing. But I go the same way every day. But when I am in this place where I'm feeling restless, and I'm feeling like I'm missing something, or I don't know what I'm doing or what I should be doing, I will do something different. So those are the things that I do to kind of spur my thought process to finding my purpose. But it takes action. If you want to find your purpose and you want to find what you're supposed to do, it takes action. You can't just say, well, I want to find it. It takes physical action, whether it be that journaling it out, whether it be trying something new. And especially when it comes to being creative, you have to be willing to suck at stuff for you to find what you love and find that purpose. Like I said, the videos that I did at the very beginning when I first started doing this are terrible. I cringe when I see them, but I leave them up to remind me and to remind you that everybody starts somewhere. Nobody starts out doing their purpose or their thing or whatever they want to do as perfect. They don't. They take one step at a time. So action is key to finding your purpose. So, my loves, that is what came out of your emails. I'm so incredibly grateful. And I hope that you take the journey within this week. If you're struggling with your purpose, which I know many of you are because I got your emails, take the time to do some things to help you find if you're in a place where you feel like you're spiraling and you're just drifting, maybe you need to talk to somebody, whether it be a therapist or a friend, a trusted friend. A therapist there's no shame in that at all. Maybe you need to do something different. Maybe you need to write it out day after day after day. Maybe you just need to realize that you're in a new season. And maybe you need to realize that you are worthy of finding your purpose. And that we need you. We need your gift, your purpose, your dream, your talent, whatever it may be. The world needs it. Maybe it's a small world. Maybe it's just your neighbor. Maybe it's the block. Maybe it's the city. Whatever it is, somebody needs your gift. And so, my friend, I hope that you take some action this week and find that thing that you are longing for. And yeah. All right, my loves. Thank you so much for being here. I just so love you guys. I love your emails and your conversations. Subscribe and like to the channel if you don't want to miss a video. It means the world to me. Ask any questions about supplies or anything like that. I always do my best to answer or acknowledge everyone's comments in YouTube. So, yeah. All right, my loves. I hope you have a wonderful Sunday. I hope it's restful. I hope it's peaceful. And I hope you know how much your gifts, your talents, your passion, your dreams are needed. And I hope that you always, always know that you are loved.